Evening, you beautiful subjects. Um, Today, we had all the good horses back. It's all what the grumble and grunters want. All the good horses coming back. Very easy to find the winners with all the good horses coming back, isn't it? Um, well, the meeting was at headquarters, but before I get onto that meeting, and it's going to be, as I said before, short and sweet. Now, I've got four meetings to comment on. Go back to today, week ago at Newcastle, where we had up in the beautiful coalfields, Broad Meadow, whatever you want to call it. The track was a good 3 and the rail was 4 metres out. There was no breeze and the track played very fair. There was no bias on the track today, week ago at Newcastle. Work the rest out for yourself. We went to, I'm going to call it, Canterbury Park on Wednesday. This Wednesday just gone, the track was, it was a good 3. Rail was in the normal position. It wasn't the it wasn't the highway that we saw on the Friday night meeting prior to this, and where it was diabolical. But by the same token, it was the fence was the place to be, but not as savage as the night meeting prior to this. The rail, as I say, was in a normal position, and there was a breeze coming out of the a southeasterly breeze, and as the day went on, say for the last at least 2, if not last 3 races, it started to ease, and it wasn't as strong by the time we got to the last race as it was early in the day. We got to Hawkesbury, the provincial meeting at Hawkesbury. The beautiful Clarendon course. Boy, was it a ghost town. We had the 4 pros playing. One of them, God, he can find a winner. Oh, God, he can find a winner. He found that he found a winner today. We'll get to that in a minute. 100 to 1 chance. They weren't know where to put the section. They won that much. He found an 11 to 1 chance, a 10 to 1 chance, $11 chance with me. He only backed to 1 winner, but of course finished well in front, and that was Rameses in race 7. How would it win, Rameses? But he put an absolute packetful on. He took all the $11 and $10 about it, and it trotted him. That was at Hawkesbury on Thursday. There was no bias. The track was upgraded from a good 4 to a good 3. Whoopie-doo. Rail was in the normal position. There was a breeze early on the day coming out of the across those beautiful blue mountains, more or less a bit of a westerly. But then as the day progressed, that breeze, similar to Canterbury, eased later in the day. Now we got to headquarters today, Royal Randwick. The track was given out a good 4, upgraded later in the day to a good 3. The rail was in the normal position, and all the scribes and all the track walkers and everyone, all the geniuses, they said, no, the inside is going to be no good here today, and they were 1000% right. The inside section of the track was inferior. And this meeting, it all depended on how the races were run, and runners that got into exactly the right position from preferred alleys, and the way the race was run decided the result of a lot of the races. The first race, we saw Darcy Wood, who it had the synthetic hoof filler on today, and most probably just had a little dabble, do you? But a lot of people shy off that synthetic hoof filler. It might have, you don't know, it might have only had a smidgen which wouldn't have made any difference, because that Team Hawks, they look after their netties, and they told the Stipes, but it's a good throw off, isn't it? And they also said they were going to ride Darcy Wood back in the field. Well, they did exactly what they said. Ridden by Tommy Terrific Berry, they eased out to last position in the field of 8. Coming down the side, I think they were a Jerry. They were a Jerry for sure. That the inside, Tommy, he would have tipped Team Hawks. He would have said, "Now listen here, I'm telling you now, if I go forward here, I'm going to be a sitting duck, and the inside, it's completely gone. We're better off going back here, like we did once before, here at Randwick with this runner, and come down the outside." And they stuck to their word. And the first race, there was a nor'easterly blowing, and it was around about the 18-kilometre mark before the first race. It got a little bit stronger by race 3. It was still there race 4, and then from after race 4 it started to ease. And by the time we got to the last race, similar to those other 2 meetings I talked about, there was hardly any breeze at all. But anyway, he eased out to last position on Darcy Wood, and eased off heels turning for home, and sailed down the outside to win by 1.5 lengths. The well-backed Selectify, it led. We put it up 3 to 1, $4, got out to $5, which you wouldn't see Selectify, and came back in to start at $4. And by the same token, this is the advantage of being at the track. Not only can, if you are a serious punter, or to give yourself any chance whatsoever, have the advantage of looking at the horses. I've written a few things about written on the horses on my website. It's all about the individual. That's my opinion, but how would I know? I know nothing. It led Selectify, which was always going to be up near the lead, but and pulled slightly on the rider, as did Spy Dakota, the other equal favourite. 3 to 1 a pair they started, 3 to 1 the field. But the winner, which you wouldn't see, and this was what I was about to say, as much as $6.50 was given about this runner. Now that wouldn't appear in the Fluct, and did start only $4.40, very hard to get. At one stage, I bet one of the pros to lose $5,000 at $4.80. Oh my God! I got off on the wrong leg. On the wrong leg. I was on the Melbourne leg and on the Sydney instead of the Sydney leg, and I was hanging out on all the turns, especially the first race. And I did an absolute poultice on the first race, but everybody jerried. The inside was no good, because even the leader in this race, Selectify, trained by Chris Lees, ridden by Horseman Bowman, when he was coming down the side, he stayed away from the 18 pence, and he was only 2 off turning for home, and the runner that had to get or couldn't get to the outside of runners and had to switch back to the inside, but still by the same token finished at least 2 or 3 off the fence, running 3rd last, was the very easy in the market Field Marshal, easing from $7, a 6 to 1 chance, out to $11, 10 to 1. It finished closest to the fence, not the place to be. The second race came along, and here we saw Planet Purple. This was a result for the captains. Well, it was a very funny run race for Wurzer, who was backing up from Canterbury on Wednesday, ridden by Christian Reith. James McDonald couldn't make the 54. He tried to hold the lead going out of the straight, but Corabetti, ridden by Jason Collette, said, no, son, I'm going to lead. He kicked up on the inside of Fawurza, and when they went down the back straight, he was a good 10 lengths in front. Went out the back straight, came down the side. He was at least a dozen lengths in front, if not 14 lengths in front, say a dozen. And he finished up being beaten 16.4 lengths. Pulled up with a poor recovery rate. Went far too fast. He did over race in the lead. Even coming around the turn, he was a good 8 lengths in front. But of course, the rider didn't knock him about once he gave in. And as I say, got beat a long way. Planet Purple appreciated the fast pace. It was, believe it or not, for this Captain Cookie here, it was a huge difference to me. A huge difference. I was desperate for the second horse, Ghost Protocol, who was well backed, as much as $6.50 bet, only started $5.50. By the same token, the winner was $18. I even saw $19 of our Planet Purple, and only started. What am I talking about? Number 5, Planet Purple, being that price. That was Blazing Dragon was $19 into $15. One of the pros found Planet Purple at $41. We put it up a $31 chance. 30 to 1, got out to $41, 41, and started the 30. And a good little bit of section was won. The favourite this race, started favourite, Gregory Aeroplane, we put it up only $2.80. As much as $4 was bet about Gregory Aeroplane. Did start $3.80, had its chance, although it was near the inside all the way. It sat in third position after it had got to the lead. Corabetti, as I say, about the 800 metre mark, it was a good dozen lengths behind it for Fawurza, and then it was another 6 lengths behind Fawurza. What am I trying to say here? What's his name? Was the favourite, Ghost Protocol, and only plugged away. It sweated up, but not as badly as it did last start at Rose Hill. You can see that this red wine I'm drinking here is starting to make me not think right. So I'll have a little bit more, and I'm likely to say anything. Race 3, well, he was a Jerry here, Bold Blake Shin. He drew barrier 2 on the stablemate to the favourite, Furnaces, and also Calverite. And John O'Shea had one other runner in the race, and that was E-Grain. And Bold Blake Shin, well, they said that they were going to ride Furnaces with cover, and they did. He sat behind the stablemate. Bold Blake Shin went straight to the lead on Haptic, who led all the way at Randwick last start, having its only start that previous run. Now it's 2 from 2. Bold Blake Shin, he was a Jerry. The wind was coming out of the northeast at 25 kilometres an hour, and he had to run into it, but he was a Jerry. The inside was no good, and when they swung for home, he was a good 4 off the fence. You know, he picked it. He said no. He controlled this race to a nicety. He came up the rise with that crouching style of his, had plenty of horse underneath him. It was going kindly for him. After they'd flattened out, after topping that rise, well, you look back in the field and you say, there's got to be something coming down the outside here, but there wasn't anything making up ground quick enough. The favourite, who was trying to get off its back, finished up running second, Furnaces, and well, it had its chance, and after easing off heels, Wolf Cry stuck its nose out to get into third position, and one could say, excuse me, the unlucky runner in this race might have been Sebring Sun. Watched the run. ridden by Winona Constant. She settled back in second last position in between runners when they were coming to the turn, in between Muab and also Calverite, who knuckled at the start, and the other runner also jumped awkwardly, Maheb. She was held up and buffeted between runners turning for home, and then tried to get in between runners and was held up close to the line. Was only beaten 1.1 lengths, and with a bit of a clear run and better positioning, like it did at its very first start, Sebring Sun, it would have gone very close to winning this race. The favourite, we put it up 5-4 on. We'll have you 5-4. Muggins here. I let you lay the 10-9 on. I even bet $1.95 at one stage. At the finish, I must admit, I had to wind the $1.80 off, started $1.75, well, had its chance. And as I said, ridden a great race by Bold Blake Shin, Haptic. Staying away from the 18 pence was the winning factor when it got down to the line. Race 4, well, this wasn't a winning factor when they got down to the line for the favourite, Dre Fontaine, because unfortunately, ridden by Bold Blake Shin, he was forced to stay close to the fence coming to the turn, and more or less all the way up the straight, and was only beaten 0.4 of a length. If Dre Fontaine had drawn in the field of 9 any alley, say from 6 out, well, it would have won for sure. But when they settled down, he more or less was holding the fence, only well, more or less right on it, on its outside. Happy Galaxy, when they were coming down the side, the pumper, who was back in action there today, said, "No, Bold Blake Shin, you're not going to come out here and be 4 and 5 wide. This is the pumper on your outside. You know, I've been around for too long." And he kept on coming in a little bit and forcing Dre Fontaine to stay near the fence, and then halfway in between, or just half carding behind them, was Territory, who travelled very well in the run, but trapped more or less 3 and 4 wide in the better section of the track, was Heart Tester, who they said they did their homework. They were going to ride it closer today, as much as $17 bet. Only started about $15, and it sat out in that little bit better section of the track, which was better going, and got past them topping the rise, got a length break, but only finished up winning by 0.4 of a length, beating Territory, who looked a bird in the run when it got through in between them, turning or topping the rise and the turn, ridden by Sam Clipperton. It didn't go on with it, and ran third. And the runner that came from last on the fence, weaving in between runners and resuming from a spell without the blinkers on the day, was Destiny's Kiss. It put in an enormous run last start when it resumed over a little bit longer distance at Hawkesbury without the blinkers as well, and made up a lot of ground. It was only beaten about 1.6 lengths. No, it was only beaten 0.7 of a length. What am I talking about? Destiny's Kiss made up a lot of ground. But as I say, Dre Fontaine, unfortunately, was in the worst section of the ground. Race 5, well, here we saw the pro, as I was saying earlier on. He won't know what to do with the section. What time is it now? It's 10 minutes to 8. The hooves have been over for a long time, although I'd say this pro would be still betting over on the hooves in Western Australia, in Perth, where my beautiful number 2 daughter lives these days with her husband John. He'd be after the Ascot or wherever they're on racing over there in Perth today. They will be still counting the section until midnight. Oh my God, I hope they've got plenty of storage space in the joint, because they won't have enough space to put it in. 100, it doesn't sound, hundreds into 50s, and they got every Captain Cookie on the ground. After they took the hundreds, they took the 80s and the 70s, and they started to butter up on the 60s at the death. And as I said earlier on, a lot of these races today, with the bias on the track, decide with what was the winning decider factor. And this runner, there were 11 runners, drew barrier 11. It went straight to the front, Press Report, and when they hit the line, Press Report ran last in this race, but was only beaten 3.8 lengths, telling me, this fool, that you run this race over again, and I'm telling you now, on a fair track, you wouldn't know what the result would be. It possibly could be Winks, who missed the kick and settled down and copped a bit of a check on the start and settled down in last position on the near the fence, and had to go inside runners coming up the straight and finish closest to the fence, although being about 3 horses off, but still not the place to be. It went straight to the lead, Press Report. On its outside, Moss Fun. I don't know what they're going to do with Moss Fun. Moss Fun might never, ever, 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 you'll never know if you never ever go. It might never greet the judge again, Moss Fun. Pulled up with a poor recovery rate. It sat on the outside of Press Report. How did it win the Golden Slipper? I knew it was a fluke. I knew it was a fluke. When Mr. Kick never left the fence, straight up on the fence. We all thought the fence was no good, but it was one of those things, wasn't it? Seldom things are what they seem. Skim milk masquerades as cream. How did it win the slipper? Oh my God. But it did. It was a heavy track, wasn't it? All of its wins were on the heavy track, although it did win on a good track or something. But the heavy, the heavy tracks helped it. It went terrible. It sat outside the leader. Sitting in third place was one more Zeta, who pulled a bit on it, went keenly, never got beat that far, ran a race, and then coming across in that outside alley was the winner adrift, who got into the perfect position the way the race was run. And one of the pros won a packet full, hundreds in the 50s. As I say, we'll still be counting it after the last is over in Western Australia. And that was about that race. Talk about the fluke. I've told maybe in the last 12 months, every now and again, when it's a bit quiet at the races and we start talking about this and that and the old days and what happened. Well, I'll tell you how old I was. I was, what am I talking about? I was in my very, very early 20s. Might have been about 21. And I was at a meeting at Wyong. It was in the very early 70s, and the bookies put them up. 5-4 on. There were 3 runners. 5-4 on a pair. I forget their names, but I don't forget the winner's name. 5-4 on a pair, and 33-1 bar the pair. So what do you got? You got 111 and 3. 111 and 3 is 114. So the only way that the captains could lay either one of the favourites was, not saying that nobody laid the 10-9 on, $1.90, but the only way that they more or less could lay either one of the favourites is when they gave evens. And some bookies who had the opinion that that one would get beat, they gave evens that one, and they bet whatever they could have wanted to risk about that one. And the other bookies who didn't like the other one, they gave evens the other one. As I say, I'm not saying that no one did lay the 10, were able to you were able to load the 10 to 9 on. But you had to give evens more or less each of the pair to lay them. And the other runner that opened up 33s, it got out to 100s. And they started on odd boards here and there, evens, 10 to 9 on. Mates call it 10 to 9 on the pair and 100 to 1 bar the pair. Well, down the outside came the 100 to 1 chance. It was it's the biggest result ever in the history of horse racing. And I'll only tell you now, write it down, get a pen out. This is how you spelt the horse's name. T-H-E, new word, F-L-U-K-E, the Fluke. And it knocked out the two favourites. It knocked out the two favourites. Race 6, we saw a nice horse come from past midfield called Contributor, trained by John O'Shea, ridden by James McDonald, Jamie Boy. He got a good little bit of pace up in the lead by I Own the Lead, Queenstown, with 9th Legion, who was always going to go forward from barrier 14 to the field of 14. Sucking up behind them was Weary, who had every possible chance, ran third, ran an honest race. Then we had Malavio tailing those three close to the fence, and then He's Your Man outside. Then a bit of a break to Bobbin. Tailing Bobbin up was the winner, Contributor. When they topped the rise, Contributor was pulled, even the winner was more or less a bit off the fence, but the centre of the track, topping the rise, was Contributor Mate, and rounded them up 1 by 1.5 lengths. All you can say is that the other runner that made up a lot of ground and had to switch inside runners coming from last after easing out at the start was the very talented Lucia Valentina. Went back to last, ridden by Horseman Bowman, made up a mile of ground, finished up running 4th, beaten 2 lengths. It was possibly as equal a good run as the winner, but the winner might have, well, both runners will have plenty of improvement in them, and possibly they are by far the superior runners in that race. Race 7, we saw Thump was found by one of the pros, the new kid on the block. They backed this for a poultice, $15 bet, $12 at the finish, hard to get Thump, lobbed into the beautiful position. When they turned for home, it led Calming Influence, who was very well backed, had barrier 11 from barrier, had barrier 11 in a field of 11. It pulled a bit in its rider, raced keenly. It sat on the outside of Champagne Cath, who ran second last. How was it going to win? Rare Fragrance was back on the fence. On its outside was Foreverland. They had barriers 2 and 3, and then just getting to the outside of those and getting a good card up was Thump. Got into the, like a couple of other runners there today, like what was it called? Like Gay's horse, Adrift. Got into the perfect position, eased off heels, got the lead after they topped the rise, but by the same token, did hold on very well, but only to win by 0.2 of a length from possibly an unlucky runner, which would have been a very good result for the captains. Dan Sarai sat back in midfield, and at one stage was on the winner's back, but was sort of eased off heels when they were coming down the side, and that possibly cost it the race. Went back to 3rd last position, not losing a lot of ground, but made up a lot of ground coming down the outside, only be beaten by 0.2, as I say. And after missing the kick slightly, Miser Beale went back from an outside alley and finished on very well, like it can do, and it was only beaten a half length running 3rd. The easing favourite here, Cosmic Endeavour. Would the owners of Cosmic Endeavour please step forward? It was $2.30, 11 to 8 the field, out to $3.50 begging at the finish. It had a beautiful suck up on the back of the winner, Trump. Ran 4th, ran an honest race, will obviously be improved resuming today. but was very friendless in the betting. Run this race again, a few different results. We came to the lucky last, and the Get Square Stakes, as they say. But always remember, that's the greatest lot of you know what I mean, of all times. There, always remember, if you're a Captain Cookie, or even if you're a Grumble and Grunter, what do you mean if only if you're a Captain Cookie or a Grumble and Grunter, there's never a last race. Treat every race as an individual race. The last race wasn't the last race for me, I hope. I pray to God today, because I'm off to Wyong tomorrow, where all you good Droogans should be coming to. But all the pros, except one, I know one pro's going there. He's back from the States. He's been to Vegas. Oh my God. Oh my God, he's going to be there tomorrow. But all the other pros, they're going to be out in the harbour on their cruises, eating those chucked oysters and the lobster tail and the shrimp and everything. Oh my God. Anyway, here, similar to other races, we saw the winner lob into the perfect position, the resuming Telepathic, ridden by Jay Collette, trained by Chris Waller, which was a result for the captains because we put it up $4, 3-to-1 chance. We put up 3-to-1 the field favourite. It got out to $5 at the end of betting. Fairly, very unfriendly in the betting. Lobbed into the 1-1 position. It led Countryman because I own the lead, trains it, came across from an outside alley, which it was always going to do. It finished up running second, running a mighty race, got clear, staying well away from the fence all the way, ridden by Clever. No, what am I talking about? Clever, that's my other man. Ridden by Winona Constant. Wily Winona. It led, only beaten a half a length. Sitting on its outside was Colouring. It finished up running second last, beaten about 5.1 lengths. Wasn't very well weighted today compared to a couple of other runners in this race. Tucked in behind them was Zinzanetti from Barrier 1. And after they'd gone a little way, Telepathic, who drew on the Barrier 2 on the outside of Zinzanetti, got into that beautiful 1-1 position. And even though resuming today, its class came through and was able to round up Countryman when they got to the line, only to beat it by a half a length, and coming, easing off their heels, having its chance was Zinzanetti running third. Running fourth in the race was Colouring, who sat second, and coming along the inside sort of thing, but still well off the fence, was Snippett's Land. Not the place to be. It ran fifth in the race, beaten 2.9 lengths. They got right away from the others. The betting in the race, as I say, the winner was fairly easy in the market. Colouring, I gave $8.50, which you wouldn't see. Started $8 on my board. Number one, I was able to lay it at $60 and $70 almighty charge. I was able to lay Colouring at $7.50 and $8.50 and $8. Absalom, one of the pros, the pro who took the 100-to-1 the winner earlier on for a packet full, he took all the 60 and 50 it. Countryman, you had to give $6 to lay it, although it started that price. Zinzanetti, as much as 15 was bet, but they killed you for the 13 and the 12 at the finish. Black Revolver, they took 13. Magic Dallas, $26 bet, but I bet 21 for plenty of money. Telepathic was easy in the betting, as I said. Lorna May, I had to get to $12 before it was back, and they even took the 11 and nibbled at the 10. Snippett's Land, yeah, was easy at the finish, but you could lay at 460 and 440 at one stage, and I bet 40-to-1 the bottom one. Excited Prince, after opening up 30, only started 26. It wasn't as bad as it looked, and the winner was easy, and the betting was the result for the captains. That was it. I tell you what, if you are wire netting, if you are backing them or fielding them, I hope you finished on the right side of the ledger. Good evening.